Classes in session, college basketball hitting the book show. Wednesday, February the 5th, Ian Cameron, Connor Mack, my line mate, will be along in just a moment as well. We're here to talk Wednesday college basketball. We got a pretty decent slate tonight. We got to do the old pat on the back, though, to begin the show. 2-0 best bet sweep last night on the Tuesday edition of the show. Connor Mack had Arizona BYU over the total. That game got over the total with room to spare, and it was a sweat. It was not easy, but we pulled it out with Michigan State plus the 2.5. It was when I gave it out on the show yesterday. I actually got +4, so I had a little bit more wiggle room, but they lose by 2 at UCLA, so we get the job done with Michigan State plus the points as well. So a nice 2-0 best bet sweep on the show yesterday. See if we can follow that up here today. Apologies once again. We're going to have no graphics on the screen today. Short on time, unfortunately, couldn't put them together. But nevertheless, we'll go game by game with the marquee games as we always do. We'll begin with Oregon taking on Michigan. We've got Michigan 7.5 point home favorites, 152.5 the total. I think if Oregon were playing better basketball than they are currently, I would have taken the points here with Oregon. But at some point when you've lost a couple bets taking a certain team, you've got to lay off. And, this team is now on a 0-6 ATS slide. They've lost 3 games in a row at UCLA, at Minnesota. And of course, they lose at home to Nebraska over the weekend. They're not playing any defense right now. And Dana Altman's team is going through some tough times. 4 losses in their last 5 games. I'm not throwing Oregon into the trash can just yet. How many times do we see Oregon at this time of the year go through some struggles? You watch late February into March, like he always does. Dana Altman will get this team on a hot streak, and you look out in the Big Ten tournament. Oregon's probably going to be a dark horse that no one's going to want to play, and they're going to do their usual routine of go on a run in the Big Ten tournament and get into the NCAA tournament. How many years and times has Dana Altman done that at Oregon? But right now is not the time I want to be backing them. They're not playing well. Michigan is back home off a win against Rutgers. Michigan's failed to cover in 5 straight too. Will they have a big home win here? That's the question. We'll see. I lean Oregon, but I've been burned enough that I ain't going back to that well tonight. Total 150. Look, the way Oregon's struggling on defense right now, I would lean over the total in this game. I know Michigan has come back down to earth on offense the last couple games, but I think here back home you'll see them score. I think we've seen also a lot of their home games go over the total as well. The Northwestern game, the Washington game. So I do like the over a little bit here. 152.5 is where this total is. All right, Duke and Syracuse. We've got Duke laying a huge number here, 17 on the road at the Carrier Dome or whatever it's called now. It's the same building, but they just have a sponsor now. 143 the total in this game. I have to take this many points with Syracuse. They're not very good, but is Duke just going to destroy everybody in the ACC? I mean, this is absolutely insane, the run they've been on. They're coming off just what felt like a perfect performance against North Carolina, their rival. They ran away and basically were hiding early in that game. They run it up to a 30-point lead at one point. They end up winning 87-70. They were never once threatened in that game by North Carolina. Syracuse, meanwhile, look, they haven't been very good straight up, but they have covered 5 in a row, 7 of their last 8. The losses were by 4 against Pitt. They did get blown out at Clemson, lose by 14, but they lost by 4 at Pitt. It was a close game. They lose by 9 on the road at Stanford, and they won outright as an underdog at Cal against the Golden Bears, 75-66 in their last game. So little signs of life from Syracuse that they're playing just a little bit better. I think the difference right now with Syracuse is that the defense has at least been a little bit better. It's not been that, a sieve that they've been often this season. That'll be put to the test, though, by Duke, which is obviously a team that can score inside, score outside. Have just got incredible talent when you're talking, of course, about Tyrese Proctor, Zion James, and, of course, the dominant Cooper Flagg. I mean, not going to be an easy task here for Syracuse tonight on the defensive side. But you look at this spot for Duke, you're coming off a big-time annihilation of your rival. You've got this game sandwiched in between that and a big showdown at Clemson on the road this weekend. That's a big game for Duke. This might be just, a spot to finally just get the win and move on. I don't know if they'll pile up margin. Let's not forget here, Duke at Wake Forest, their last road game, they only won by 7. They failed to cover. And at home against NC State, they were a 22-point favorite, and they only won that game by 10. Yes, they won and covered against North Carolina, but that's North Carolina. You knew that game was going to have Duke's full attention. I think this is just a few too many points in this spot. I will take a shot with Syracuse here, plus 17 in this game against Duke. I lean over as well, but I think the side's the superior bet in this game. All right, West Virginia and TCU. We've got in the Big 12, we've got TCU 1.5-point home favorites, 128 the total in this game. I'll be flat out honest here. I think the wrong team's favored. I mean, West Virginia to me is better right now than TCU. TCU on their best day, they can be capable, but there's just too many issues with TCU on a regular basis that I don't fully like what I'm seeing for 40 minutes from this team on a consistent basis. West Virginia, meanwhile, they're coming off a nice road win at Cincinnati, after 3 straight losses. Some of those were tough ones, though. Kansas State's playing well, and, of course, they had to play Houston as well. And TCU, they had losses at home to Kansas, to Utah. They haven't played always the best basketball here at home. I think West Virginia is the way I would go here in this one, around plus 1.5, plus 2, the current number. I also think, this is no disrespect on Jamie Dixon. I think Jamie Dixon's a good coach, but I really like Darian DeVries, the coach for West Virginia. He did a great job at Drake. And with West Virginia, there weren't high expectations coming into the year. I just think at this point spread range, I trust West Virginia just a little bit more. And I think the fact that this opened 2 and it's now 1.5 tells you that the betting markets are not enamored with TCU, very much like me. So West Virginia, I lean under as well. I think it could be one of those lower scoring affairs, points hard to come by. Neither team is lighting it up offensively right now. TCU, 4 straight unders. West Virginia has been held to 63 points or less in each of their last 4 games. So definitely I think points will be few and far between here. The under definitely makes sense with the West Virginia TCU game here. All right, Illinois and Rutgers as we go back to the Big Ten for this one. Illinois, 8-point road favorites. 157 is the total in this game. Illinois, obviously, look, they have, I don't want to say they're struggling or they've fallen apart, but they're not playing as well as they did in November and December and early January, because since that loss to USC at home as a 12.5-point favorite, they're only 3-5 against the spread. Their last, or 3-4 ATS, their last 7 games straight up and against the spread. They've had losses at home to Maryland, a loss on the road at Michigan State, a loss on the road against Nebraska. We'll see how they fare. And that's the thing that stands out here about Illinois. They're laying 8 on the road. They just lost, on the road as favorites the last time they were away from home against Nebraska. So on first glance, with what I've seen out of Illinois, they're winning, but they're not exactly winning decisively, of late. Meanwhile, you've got Rutgers, who they've actually covered 5 of their last 7. The losses at Penn State by 8, a 7-point loss to Michigan State, and then a 3-point loss to Michigan over the weekend. But they've been competitive. That's the main thing about Rutgers. We'll have to see if Dylan Harper plays, though. Keep an eye on this. He's questionable with an ankle injury. Now, I know it's Ace Bailey that stirs the drink here for Rutgers. Offensively, he's been absolutely terrific, especially of late. But Dylan Harper's absence would certainly be felt if he doesn't go. That being said, Rutgers plus the points, I think I could get behind that here. You look at Illinois, they've had a hard time being trusted to win by margin on the road in recent games. So I think if you look at this point spread where it is now, I could make a case for Rutgers. I did put a small bet on Rutgers here, plus the points in this game. Total's pretty high. You would expect there to be points. Certainly from an Illinois standpoint, they've been trending over the total here of late. 7-3 to the over their last 10 games. This has been more of a better offensive team and maybe not nearly as good of a defensive team on the other side for Steve Peichel and his Rutgers Scarlet Knights. So you can make a case for this to go over. The question is have we now put this total just maybe a little bit too high, in the 157 range? I don't want the under, but I'm just saying from a value standpoint, if you like the over, you're not getting a bargain with it here. Let's put it that way. at 157. All right, Creighton and Providence in the Big East. We've got Creighton 3.5-point road favorites, 142 being the total in this game. Providence, a home underdog. We've talked about the strength of this home floor over the years. It's not usually a team, not usually a court that I want to bet against. And Providence 9-2 straight up at home this year. But Providence coming off a very hard-fought loss against St. John's, who's making a case to be the best team in the Big East this year, and a great win for St. John's last night against Marquette. But Providence took them down to the wire, 68-66, covered as 13-point dogs. They've covered 3 of their last 4. They had a road win at Seton Hall, home win against Georgetown, 2-point loss at Villanova. And then before that, they lost to this Creighton team at Creighton, 84-64 in blowout fashion. So we do have a revenge spot here for the Friars after losing the previous meeting to the Blue Jays earlier this year. Creighton's on a roll. The only concern I have with taking Providence here as a home dog, and usually I like taking Providence in this kind of point spread role, but man, Creighton 9-1 straight up, 9-0-1 against the spread in their last 10 games. They have been a ATM machine. They have been an absolute cash cow for their backers of late. You see what they've done since losing at Marquette by 8 on January the 3rd. They've ripped off 7 straight wins at Butler, the win against Providence at home, go on the road, beat the 2-time defending champs UConn, destroyed DePaul on the road, destroyed Seton Hall at home, win and cover against a really good Xavier team by 9, and then on the road at Villanova, hard-fought game, but they find a way to win at 62-60. This is not an easy team to put your money against right now, Creighton. They're playing very, very well. But the value to me, I just think Providence 3-3 and now 4 in some spots. I think they're going to be competitive here. They're going to have to deal with Ashworth. They're going to have to deal with Neal. And obviously, Kalkbrenner's just played at a superb level of late. You look at these numbers, 30 points and rebounds last game, 38 points and rebounds against Xavier, 32 points and rebounds combined against Seton Hall. I mean, the man has been phenomenal in that paint area for Creighton. And Providence is going to have to deal with that. But revenge spot. Providence won at home in overtime last year against Creighton. So I do lean to the Friars here. It's not easy. It's not going to be a huge bet for me because Creighton's just rolling. But I think being able to take 4 with Providence here, home underdog, revenge spot. They're playing pretty good too right now. Let's not forget they almost beat St. John's in their last game. So +4 for Providence. I'm interested. All right, next up we've got Arkansas and Texas. Texas 7.5 point in some spots. Home favorites here, 141.5, 142 the total. I can't believe I'm saying this because I've been so anti-John Calipari. I've been so anti-Arkansas this year, and with good reason. They stunk for the majority of SEC play. But don't look now. They have a home win against Georgia, a tight loss against Oklahoma at home, game they could have won. They led, actually, a good chunk of that game and lost it late. And then they had their breakthrough at Kentucky. Now, granted, Kentucky's struggling right now. But to go to Rupp Arena, 9-point dog, win outright, lead wire to wire, 89-79. Definitely some signs of life from John Calipari's team. And maybe a springboard of confidence for them going into this game and moving forward. Texas, meanwhile, they've won 3 of their last 4. They, of course, they've actually been a decent point spread team of late as well. 6-1-1 ATS their last 8 games. I don't trust them still as bigger favorites necessarily, though. Arkansas has got a little momentum to them. I think if Texas wins, this is a close one. I don't think they're blowing out Arkansas by any stretch of the imagination. So I like Arkansas here, 7.5 as a road underdog to keep this game competitive. I like the under here, too. Texas, to me, has been trending under the total. 4 of their last 5 games has gone under the total. Their offense is hit or miss. Their defense has actually been very good. They've held 3 of their last 4 opponents to below 70 points. Arkansas has kind of, I know the game went over with Kentucky, but Kentucky's games are going over against everybody. Before that, this team was not exactly offensively fluid. A lot of their games, they've been held into the 60s. I don't think the pace is going to be extremely high either tonight in this game, so I could see it being low scoring and certainly lean under this total sitting at 142 between Arkansas and Texas. All right, LSU, Georgia, as we stay in the SEC for this next matchup. Georgia 8.5-point home favorites, 142.5 the total. If you guys watch the NBA show, and I'm sure some of you do with me and Ski Profit and Dutch and Wham right before this show, often if a game we don't have a strong opinion on or we don't like, we say backwood. I was tempted to backwood this game because this one is a tough one for me. It's one of these deals where how can you lay 8.5 with Georgia? I'm certainly not trustworthy of this team in this kind of a point spread range. But how can you fully trust LSU? I mean, LSU has had some absolutely terrible games, especially away from home. And we've seen what they've done of late. They get blown out by 31 at home against Texas. That is ugly. If you're taking LSU here, you got to hope pride sets in. That you just lost at losing by 13 at home against Auburn, I don't think is that bad because we know how great Auburn is. But to then come off that game and you lose by 31 on your home court against Texas, there's something wrong. There should be a response. If you're any sort of prideful basketball team, you should have a response here, especially when you're facing a Georgia team that's very vulnerable right now. Georgia's 1-5 straight up in their last 6 games. The only win was against South Carolina at home. They lose at Florida. They lose at Arkansas. They lose to Auburn and Tennessee. They get smoked by Alabama, 90-69. If you watch the show that we did on Friday last week, previewing Saturday, I said you got to either lay it with Alabama against Georgia or you don't play it. You don't trust Georgia. Georgia's been destroyed by Alabama repeatedly. I would say I would take LSU in the points before I lay it with Georgia in this game, but this is a very, very high variance game, very volatile game. Lean LSU, but it's nothing significantly strong. That much I can tell you. All right, next up, SMU and Virginia Tech in the ACC. We've got SMU 5.5-point road favorites. 146 is the total here in this game. Mike Young probably coaching for his job here at Virginia Tech. He needs probably a good finish to the season to be back next year. Obviously, the season did not start well for the Hokies. But this is a man that got the job here because of the job he did at Wofford. He was a tremendous coach there for many, many years. And he is a good coach, in my opinion. I know he gets a bad rap because Virginia Tech really has had kind of an up and down run since he's been there as the head coach, but I still think he's a quality head coach. And if I think you're a quality head coach, I think then that your team has the chance to get better as the season goes on. And the question you have to ask yourself now, is Virginia Tech getting better as the season goes on? I think you're starting to see that maybe the answer to that is yes, because you've seen some of them in their recent games, especially the last 2. Now, Florida State's not very good, but you were getting 11.5 in that game. You won outright, 76-66. You went on the road against Virginia, who are not good offensively, but they're still pretty good defensively, and you put 75 points up on them, and you were able to win outright as a road dog, 75-74 at UVA. So that's 2 wins outright in a row as an underdog. I think the arrow's pointing up just a little bit for Virginia Tech. Now, this is going to be a much taller order. SMU, obviously 17-5. They're playing really outside of a blowout home loss to Louisville. They're playing quite well. They've got wins against Georgia Tech, Virginia, Miami, NC State, Cal, Stanford at home. That being said, you look at the road games. At NC State, they won by 6. NC State, though, is not great this year. They pounded Miami. Everyone's pounded Miami for the most part. At Virginia, they were a 5.5-point road favorite. They only won by 2, and they only scored 54 points in that game. So the SMU offense and shooting kind of labored in that game against Virginia on the road. So the point I'm trying to make here is, yeah, SMU is a pretty good team, but when you look at that road schedule in ACC play, they won by 6 against a mediocre to below average NC State team. They blew out Miami, big deal. Miami's dreadful. Virginia on the road, 5.5-point road favorites. They only won by 2. They didn't cover. And then they were at North Carolina. They got blown out by 15. I think SMU laying 5.5 here. I'm not there. And I see signs of life from Virginia Tech. Like I said, they've now won the last 2 games outright as a dog. Mike Young, I know, like I said, he's gotten a bad rap here, but I still think he's a solid head coach. I expect teams with a solid head coach to get better as the season goes on, and maybe we're seeing that now finally with the Virginia Tech Hokies. So 5.5 is a home dog. I kind of like Virginia Tech here in this spot. CMAC is now here in the house. What's up, my man?
Yo.
Bet sweep for us yesterday. I know we both enjoyed that.
course, but we're on to today. Let's
Yes.
talk about this game. I couldn't. I have a little feedback here. Can you hear me?
Oh, we got you.
You good?
You're loud and clear. You're good.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. Yeah, this was a really tough game for me because I think SMU's been playing a little bit, I don't know, above their head a little bit on the road, being 4-2, better than years past, 17-5. And you're right. I mean, they're playing. They need wins. Virginia Tech, it's been a real rough go for this team. Finally back-to-back wins on the road. Of course, their own struggles. Florida State, Hamilton will be out of there as well, as we just saw that. And then they get the close win against Virginia. Like, I want it, and it's moved down to 5.5, 5. I mean, because I think they're live here in this game. It's just SMU. The shooting has been really good for them. Can they continue that on the road? I'm not so sure. As good as SMU could go in there and win, I like Virginia Tech. This is one I haven't bet, but I've been really looking at all day. I don't know, but I feel like if I take Virginia Tech, they could get blown out here, lose by 10 plus.
There's always
it's one of those ones that, yeah.
Good stuff. All right, let's do rapid fire. The games I already discussed before CMAC entered the studio here. Oregon and Michigan, the first game. What are your thoughts?
Pass.
All right, that's simple enough. I agree. That's a tough game. I would lean Oregon, but I've been burned enough by Oregon. Oregon's got to show me something before I'm ready to back them again. So I've broken up with Dana Altman for a little bit. I'll see him in March. You know what? I'm going to start backing Dana Altman in Oregon again. Conference tournament in March, like he always does. He makes a run in the.
Yeah.
You bet some futures, by the way. Even though they suck right now, Oregon. I'm telling you right now, everyone in the chat, put money on Oregon to win the Big Ten tournament. I'm telling you what, you're going to be live right into that into the final weekend, or the semifinals or the finals, because that's all that fucking guy does with Oregon. He takes them deep into the conference tournament every single year. Watch him do it again, even though now he's in the Big Ten.
Yep.
That's what he does. Yep, that's what he does. All right, Duke, Syracuse. It's a hold your nose special, CMAC. And I know Duke can win by 20 or 30 against anybody in this lousy conference. That shows you how bad the ACC is this year. There's just so much better.
It is bad.
Everybody in this conference. That being said, this spot, they're off this demolition over North Carolina. That game was over 5 minutes into the game against North Carolina. They're off this satisfying blowout destruction of their bitter rival. They have a big game with Clemson coming up this Saturday. And in between, they've got this. I have to take Syracuse. I have to take a shot.
I get it.
Syracuse. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think Duke.
They covered against Stanford, and they beat Cal on the road. Their last two games, Syracuse. Maybe a little sign of life.
Maybe. And they're coming back here. That was at Cal, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was their little West Coast trip. Like, Duke has just owned them in years past. This is the flat spot because it is Syracuse or nothing. I'm not going to back them, though, as much as I want these points. I have taken it was one of the two. Was it BC or SMU? And they both lost by 27, on the road, I think, in one of those games. So that's why, Duke, we saw it last night. I mean, Auburn was at home, a little bit different. But Duke's defense, I think, is just that good. I've been that impressed with them all year long. I want Clemson on Saturday. I'll just put that out right now. You talk about the game going forward, even though this is kind of maybe a look ahead where Syracuse can cover. I think after Clemson, that tough game last night, the OT where they lose, we talked about Georgia Tech. Great work there. I think Clemson is the move. But you know me, Syracuse or nothing. Points or nothing here. You don't catch me playing 18 on the road in ACC, even if there's ACC's way down this year and the bottom half's horrible compared to the top few. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me Duke by 12. Duke by 12 tonight, not by 19 or whatever. Hopefully that's the case here.
Wake got it done. Was before. I mean, at home, NC State did. They kind of cruised there. So yeah.
Hopefully it's one of those spots. All right, West Virginia, TCU. I like West Virginia. I lean under there. What do you think? I
lean under a little bit. I don't want either of these two teams at all. I think TCU. I kind of lean TCU here, but this was a pass.
Illinois Rutgers.
This game is so fucking tricky. It's Rutgers at the rack, of course. They've been playing better. It's basically, I think they cover here. Can they win outright? Illinois is just flat better. Is this number too big? It's come down a half a point. This is one that I think went down more. I was on Rutgers. They covered the last couple. I was on them on Saturday. I felt like got out of there. Yeah. They lost by 3. Like, if they're out of it, they can lose by 15. But I think they're in this game. Rutgers are nothing there.
I do too. Rutgers for me there. Yep. Creighton Providence.
I went with Providence here. I'm going against the red hot Creighton team. It's just covered.
I know one against the number, and yet I feel I can't pass up Providence +4 in a revenge spot at home.
Either can I. They just seem to get up for these games. It's just nuts. And you know what? I think, a few of these two have gone to OT between them. Yeah, the revenge spot. And it feels like, most people here, the regular bettor, of course, is going to be looking at Creighton like, dude, I've been making bets, Creighton winning, and, game after game after game. This is where you get caught up, and they fought back from that last game. They didn't shoot it well, the 62-60, their last game. Here, I have it pulled up. But they were down big. They came back, fought back, won that game barely. I think this game is a dogfight. Even like Providence early first half, I think you look to him.
I'll tell you what. He's playing like a Naismith Award contender right now. Ryan Kalkbrenner for Creighton. They better. Oh
yeah, finally.
Right now, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Lately he's been just a monster. Like, he has been playing at a crazy level. And obviously, if Providence is going to win this game, they're going to have to pay attention to him. Arkansas, Texas. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm on the Calipari in Arkansas here. I think they've actually got a little momentum now. They had a lot of close losses. They finally got over the hump. They beat Kentucky in his return to Rupp Arena. And it's more so that I don't really love Texas laying 7.5 either. So I'm on Arkansas there. And the under, Eileen. What do you think there?
The biggest issue is the trust to Texas. Yeah. Like you were just saying. That's what I think I lean the other way. I haven't bet this. I'd like Texas. It's just, do I want to lay 7 points? No. So I kind of think first half. And what do you take from that Arkansas win? Do you think it's momentum? Like you just talked about, people that like that are going to go that route.
Yep.
I don't know if I buy it. Maybe they needed that, and that's going to spark them, or it was just kind of a get up. They shot the ball unbelievable in that game. We know Kentucky,
regular average, yes,
way above their thing. Yeah, Kentucky, of course, we know not the best defensive team, but 55% from the field, 52% from 3, decent from the free throw line. They got their 12 of 16. Can that happen again? I don't know. So I think Texas. That number is just, I don't want.
And the last game before you arrived was LSU Georgia. What do you think there?
This game's tough. And one thing with Georgia, you want to start laying 8, 9 with them at home. They've been so good at home.
Don't they have to show a little pride after losing by
30? Both teams got blitzed.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got really blitzed. That second half, I thought it was kind of, they showed like some quit. And Texas, whatever, they scored like 55 in that second half when I was watching. I go, man, this is it's about as ugly as it gets. But when I look at this, Georgia wins these games. Like, I think a team like LSU, maybe they could score more. But when I think Georgia at home is their defense under, or LSU's team total under. You know what I mean? As long as it doesn't get out of hands and there's not fouls. So I haven't bet that. I've been looking, should I go full game or team total? I've been looking at this under, though, all day long in LSU, Georgia, where Georgia's been great to the under. LSU, too. Their totals have been higher on the road against some teams, but they've even gone under on the road.
All right, next up, Nebraska and Washington. Nebraska 3-point road favorites, 2.5 3-point road favorites, 141.5 the total. But Nebraska, suddenly Fred Hoiberg and company, 2 wins against Illinois and Oregon. Illinois at home, Oregon on the road. I do want to caution everybody, though, before that on the road, Nebraska, ugly stuff. Wisconsin, Maryland, Purdue, Iowa lost all of them on the road. Now, was the Oregon win a sign that they're getting their shit together on the road, or was that just a one-off? Because Oregon's struggling right now. I don't know. I think the values with Washington, believe it or not, here is a home dog, 2.5, 3. I lean that way, even though I don't love their form and they rely so
Is it
much on
short
one
enough?
guy.
Too short, though?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Nebraska,
mean,
getting their shit together. They are playing better. They've won 2 in a row against some decent teams. But now you're a road favorite. A Nebraska team that hadn't won a single road game in conference play until that Oregon win, and now they're road favorites. I'm not there with Nebraska personally as a road favorite. C-Mac, what do you think?
totally agree. I just can't get there. Like, this is a gettable game for them, but just to make them 2.5. It's moved up, which is a good sign. It's stayed at 2 basically all day until right now. It's bumped to 2.5, 3. And the biggest thing, that bad losing streak, the defense kind of folded. But what I was going through, Williams has had those back-to-back wins, massive games, where he had kind of just fallen out to nothing. When he scores 27, 28, but he's just scored the last couple, Nebraska can definitely win. But this seems like a Washington spot, but it's basically they got to win the game here now. It's right there because they played well at home. Let it slip. UCLA, that game, I stayed off. I didn't get a 5.5 Urbana because it went to 4.5, so I stayed off. Goes on 5. So that was one where I was like, I was glad, but watching that game, I'm like, they're right in it. It sucks because they're just a team even at home can't win games. Reminds me a little bit of UNLV, a team like that. We saw it again. They couldn't get it done. That's what Washington is, but they should step up. Same thing in that Purdue game. And they need more help all the way around with everyone on that team. I talk about it all the time, but Harris, they got other guys gotta be involved in it. So, and they played better. They played to the under a little bit more late. I know that one was a low total with Minnesota. It slipped over, but can this game stay under? I don't know. They got to score points, so I don't want to mess with the total. I'll tell you that. If Washington, they need to score against Nebraska. But I think it's Washington. This might be a hold your nose special here.
No doubt. All right, I'll throw these 2 in because these are our last 2 games. They're at the same time, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, late night action. NC State, Cal 1-point home favorites, 138.5 the total. Wake Forest, Stanford. Stanford, 3-point home favorites, 139.5 the total. I like the home teams there. I think I like Cal a little bit more because Cal at home, look, NC State hasn't won a road game this year. And we're asking NC State to go all the way out to Berkeley and win this game against the Cal Golden Bears, and they're just too erratic. They're just not consistent in any way, shape, or form from one game to the next, Kevin Keats' team this year. So I like Cal for sure. I prefer that. I still lean Stanford in the other. The one thing Stanford does is they beat these ACC teams coming in to their building. They've done that pretty consistently, and Wake's pretty solid, but again, we look at Wake, and again, their defense sometimes erodes, and they had to hang on for dear life. And I was nervous as fuck being on Wake against Pitt, and they had to hang on for dear life there. I don't think they played particularly well. Now, they got to go all the way to the West Coast, so I would say take the home teams there. But I like Cal a little bit more than Stanford. What do you think there, C-Mac?
This is, can Cal win both these games? They beat them already too, right?
Yep.
And NC State.
Yep.
Just about a couple weeks ago. I think so. What I go back to with NC State, Cal, of course, wants to push the pace. I don't know if this is good enough, and can we get a 65-62 game? But I lean under. NC State just can't score. They have to play these games that are just ugly in the half court. Then they've been that way. This team scores 57, 62, 61, 58. Can they have some success scoring tonight? I'm not so sure. So under for me there, Cal. And I like Stanford, but 3. Do I really want them at 3? Not really. Like this to me, if it was a pick 'em, I think you grab Stanford. And I lean that way at -3. It's a tough spot for Wake. And yeah, when I watch Wake, I want them at home. This team still they can't shoot the ball. Now this team fucking has no scorers. They have no shooters. And man, with the numbers too, and the shot numbers, if you look over, are just awful as well. When I was going through them, just like a week ago, I was looking at them like, God, this team can't hit a shot from deep. So that's a tough thing, traveling all the way out there. They'd need their defense to play well. That could keep them in it. But yeah, Stanford, the tree. Got to just lay the 3.
Oh, there's one game in the outline I did not put in there, and I'm going to talk about it now, and then we'll get to the other games we like that we didn't discuss. But I'm shocked I forgot to put this in our list of games, but we have to talk about it. Missouri and Tennessee. Tennessee 9-point home favorites here. The total sitting at looks like 135 across. I'm on Missouri, man. Until this team stops covering, I'm on them. They've been terrific. Dennis Gates might be the better coach, quite honestly. You know, with all due respect to Rick Barnes doesn't do anything in March. So that's why he always there's always that black mark with him, is that he doesn't do anything in the tournament. Dennis Gates has done a phenomenal job here with Missouri. This has been a Missouri team that Missouri's playing defense now, too. We always know with Tony Perkins and Tamar Bates, Trent Pierce, Mark Mitchell, Anthony Robinson, they've got scoring. That's not a problem for Missouri.
Yeah.
But could they defend? Because defense has been their problem. They are right now. They're playing really good defense. And if they bring that here, we know how Tennessee can go in their offensive droughts. You also have Tennessee off a very satisfying revenge win at home, beating the hell out of Florida. So I think Missouri comes in here and competes. 3-0 ATS Missouri, the last 3 meetings against Tennessee. And the only Tennessee win was by 5 points. That's it. They have not shown the ability to beat Missouri by margin the last 2 years. So I'm on the Tigers here. MIZ. Give me Missouri plus the points here. CMAC, what do you think there? Mizzou, Tennessee.
I haven't bet it. I'm tempted by them too. You know, especially Tennessee after the big, huge win. But it's, you know, we saw the game before that, though. I mean, they lose outright to Kentucky. Like, it's how locked in is that defense? Because, like, this seems like the 12 to 15 point win, or they lose, or it's just this is, you know, a possession type game. Yep. There's a couple like that today. Of course, there always is these cards daily. But I mean, Mizzou, and they have the scores. I mean, we've talked about that. You know, can they get it done here? I don't want to go against them. You know, I don't. I think it's them or nothing. So, but I think this game I set out.
All right. Oh, good stuff there. There you have it. Those are the Wednesday game-by-game previews. Let's get into the games we have not talked about, but we like from a betting perspective here on this Wednesday. CMAC, we'll start with you. The games we didn't discuss, what are you liking for tonight?
You know who I liked? But I didn't bet. It's come down. You know, I would have grabbed it. Was George Washington today. Thing is, though, George Mason does have the best defense. Yeah, they've been able to go on the road and just kind of beat up teams and finish them off. George Washington way better at home. And I like this line's come down. I think they're in it. That's one we'll see that I did not move on. I'm on Belmont. I took the 8. They just can score. They suck defensively. You don't want them when they lay points. That game, at 150, whatever it is, 6. There's going to be plenty of points there, and I think they're in it. You know, both teams are off losses. I don't know if there's a real advantage. Bradley's at home. Bradley already beat them, I believe, in Belmont.
Yep.
I had that pulled up before, so I think they can hang around. They've played well on the road. I mean, they're the team when they're a dog that can hit shots if they're down a little, though. You know, they can make their free throws. They hit threes. So as bad as defensively as they are, I think they can hang around there. Illinois State, I like that game over 148. Another one where I think there's points. I like that number as long as it was right around there, not 150. I think we get over.
I don't know what it is about the Missouri Valley, but I like a lot of the overs in those games. You mentioned it with Illinois State UIC over, Belmont Bradley over. I like Southern Illinois Valpo. I like over the total.
Valpo over.
Overs. Yep.
Rice. I think Rice stays in. I don't know why ECU's laying that many points. Rice has the better defense. These teams nothing shows that they should be laying that. You know, maybe they should be laying 3.5, 4. Last, we'll see if I am wrong here. High Point has played them well. This has gone 2-6, but I don't buy it. I think it's a little bit of revenge. Everyone loves High Point. maybe they do go in there and win. But I'm on Radford here. It's another team that can score. They've been great at home. They're 8-1. And I don't want to be. I'm a little shocked. Maybe, regular bettors too. High Point, has won a ton for them. Obviously, they're a great team and 19-5. They've gone on the road, though, with similar numbers like this, laying 4, and lost already. Longwood, they lost by a couple. What was the other one? Asheville, they lost by a couple in that one, 103-99. It's like kind of a do or die game. We'll see if Radford can get it done. Like I told, High Point's kind of had their number, but I think they hang in there. So I grab the points with Radford.
Yeah, I kind of agree there. Actually, that is something I bet as well, Radford, in that one. Quickly, this one's about to start. I'm betting the hottest damn point spread team going, VMI. That one's tipping off.
That's crazy. They're red hot. Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to keep riding them. I've been on VMI like several games in a row now, and they're getting set. And plus, East Tennessee State's coming off the crazy-ass comeback win against Furman. That's always a big rivalry game, too. And VMI has just been flying under the radar, covering point spreads, being competitive, pulling upsets. Yeah, give me the points. Key Debts, VMI +7 against East Tennessee State. That one's coming up. What else do I like here? I like, let me see here. I like Georgia Southern and the over against Louisiana. Raging Cajuns there. Georgia State as well, I like as a favorite. I like Wofford against Chattanooga and the over in that game. I like Richmond. I mean, Richmond's bad.
Game. I know.
It's their spot to finally win one at home. Duquesne's not that good. I truly don't think so, especially to be road favorites. So I like Richmond there at home in that spot. I mentioned Valpo, Indiana State. I like over. I like Southern Illinois and Evansville. I got them mixed up. Southern Illinois, Evansville over the total. I like quite a bit. And Evansville's been playing better, so I think Evansville might be the side there as well in that one. What else do we see here? Tulane, I think, is just better than UTSA. I know UTSA's had some decent results of late, but I like Tulane at a near pick 'em. I think they can go on the road and win that game against UTSA. And come on, Memphis laying 17. I have to fade Memphis when they're laying double digits. Tulsa's bad, don't get me wrong, but Tulsa can stay in that number. And actually, Tulsa's covered a few games lately as well. So
I agree. Come on. They covered one time.
Yeah.
And that's they can happen, but it's still 1-6. It was like November 15th, they beat Ohio at home 94-70. Every other time they haven't covered a double-digit number.
Yeah.
I don't expect it to. When you turn the ball over that much. And a lot of those games, they've had leads. Like in the second half, they kind of just give it up, though.
Yep.
Too. It's not like they get down. Memphis does get up, but they kind of just, let a team back in and hang around. I totally agree. You got to take Tulsa.
Small bet DePaul. I just don't trust Villanova laying points on the road. So I know DePaul's, I think so erratic, but I don't trust Villanova as road favorites. Colorado, Utah I can't lay 7 with Utah, but how many times is Colorado? Can you trust them? I lean Colorado.
They suck.
They're bad, though. They are. Colorado State, New Mexico. I actually think the Fighting Nico Medved's +9. I think they make that game maybe a little bit closer than people think. +9 for Colorado State there in the pit in Albuquerque against New Mexico. And then one more on the added board. They're really good. North Alabama -5.5. They're really, really good. I think that game may be an over as well. But that's what I'm liking there on the added board. So there you have it. Northern Kentucky, Cleveland State. I'm walking into a trap here because to me that is a ridiculously, insanely cheap price on Cleveland State. But how many times do we have to see Northern Kentucky suck? To me that I'm on Cleveland State. To me, they're just the better team. I'm on them there, even though that line looks a little peculiar there. So there's your answer. I like Cleveland State. I mean, Northern Kentucky shit the bed too many times for me to want to trust them. All Cleveland State does is they keep on getting the job done. Really, really nice job by this Cleveland State program. They weren't expected to be this good, but here they are, top the Horizon League. So credit to them in that one. All right, shout out to, Louisville, BC. Louisville off a loss, so I'd expect them to be better. That's a lot of points. And look, BC, they finally won outright as a home dog. They're a home dog here against Louisville. I lean BC, believe it or not. Isn't Louisville, maybe that's a sign that maybe they're going to cool down just a little bit. And Pat Kelly's a great coach. He's done a great job. They're a really good team. But maybe now they've reached the point they're a little overvalued. So I lean BC. I like the over there. I think that game goes. BC has actually been an over team lately, and I think Louisville shoots the ball better than they did in that loss to Georgia Tech. So I like the over there as well. Louisville, Boston College. All right, there you go. Good stuff. Let's wrap it up. It's time for best bets. 2-0 sweep. We'll see if we can deliver another one today after last night. CMAC, best bet. What do you got?
It's going to go with another over. But I think that's an over in this game. So if you want to add that on. But I took Belmont, +8. I think they hang around. I do not trust this Bradley team. Belmont, +8.
There you go. Belmont, +8. Best bet for CMAC. My best bet here for this Wednesday slate. We cashed last night with Michigan State narrowly, but we did cash. See if we can build on that here tonight. I think I'm going to go with one of those Missouri because I like them all. I really like all those Missouri Valley overs. Let's see if we can go with Southern Illinois and Evansville, man. They're both trending over the total right now. I thought 140.5 was a little bit low in that game. So let's go with that. Let's go with a over tonight for our best bet. Southern Illinois Salukis, Evansville Purple Aces, over 140.5. We'll rock with that for best bet here for this Wednesday college basketball slate. That's a wrap, everybody. We appreciate everybody. I'm That Heat, Canes Nation, G. Martinez, Chosen One, Gerald Jones, Gold Jew, Timothy Hake, The Chillest, Miles Johnson, and everyone else joining us here on this Wednesday. Hit the like button on the way out. We're here 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. We'll be back on Friday. We'll do a Friday and Saturday college basketball preview coming up on Friday's show. Make sure you join us for that. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button. For Connor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We will see you again on Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, for another edition of the College Basketball Hitting the Books show. Until then, class dismissed.
Peace.